Yes, my king! All right.
You've chased the treacherous Nimue across Britannia, fought dragons and bargained with whomever you had to, but you're finally within arm's reach of finding Merlin. However, your trials aren't over yet. You know from Nimue that this mountain was once home to a mad wizard who left behind magical defenses, making the place dangerous to explore. That won't stop you, but you decide to leave your men behind this time. After all the trials and horrors of late, the tranquil peace of the mountain is almost unnerving. A soft breeze is sighing among the trees, a nearby stream gurgles happily. The road ascends at a steady rate, but soon ends at the edge of a deep chasm. The chasm is wide, and there is no obvious way across. However, you sense faint magic and also notice a glinting object on a weathered, mossy stone beside the road. When you investigate, it turns out to be an hourglass, which seems rather odd. The hourglass is obviously very old, but it's in remarkably good shape. The reddish sand inside seems dry and radiates subtle magic, and there are a few generic runes carved into the wooden casing. However, none of this tells you why the hourglass is here. You turn over the hourglass and the sand faintly sparkles up, but nothing else happens. You wait until the sand runs down just to be sure, but it turns out to be a waste of time. Then you remind yourself that this was put here by a mad wizard. Perhaps it's just a trick. The chasm is wide, and there is no obvious way across. The road seems to continue on the other side, but first you have to get there somehow. You throw a stone into the chasm and find out that it is there indeed, but the stone bounces off something before falling down. A few more stones reveal that there seems to be an invisible bridge ahead, but it must have been built by a lunatic, because it meanders unpredictably. The idea seems to work, and you slowly make your way across the bridge. However, the fog also limits your vision, and you fail to notice when the bridge abruptly ends only meters away from the other side. You lose your balance and fall into the chasm. Fortunately, you land on an outcrop, and though the landing is painful, you survive the fall. When you climb to your feet and look around, you see that you are still quite high up, but the road is beyond your reach. Your only choice is a cave that opens from the outcrop, so you walk in. The cave isn't any less mysterious than its surroundings. The walls are illuminated by glowing moss, and tiny motes of green light float in the air. A side path forks off inside the cavity. It's dark, smells rather putrid, and it drones with deep, ominous noises from time to time. You summon a ball of light and walk into the darkness. The smell gets worse as you go along, but you soon glimpse daylight ahead. Finally, you reach an underground chamber littered with bones. You're about to step inside when you suddenly hear a spine-chilling shriek. This must have been the den of some large predator, but it's clearly not around anymore. The noise originates from the entrance, and it's merely the wind playing tricks. Interestingly though, there are faded runes on the walls and some hefty, rusty chains on the ground. You hesitatingly poke around in the dirt and rotted remains, and curse silently when a sharp bone fragment cuts your hand. Finally, you find a silver collar which is carved with runes and obviously radiates magic. You decide to examine it later, put it away, and walk outside. You reach a deep valley with a tower built into the side of a rocky cliff. This is the place you know from Nimue. Your master is imprisoned here. You carefully open the gate, but it seems you are past the magical defenses. Nothing obstructs your way as you move inside. You found the lair of the ancient wizard who once lived here. There are inscribed stone slabs and other structures of unknown purpose all around you. More importantly, you finally lay eyes on Merlin himself, sitting in a majestic throne in the center, turned into stone. The stone shape of the mighty wizard shudders and throws off a shower of splinters as he transforms back to flesh and blood. He opens his eyes and casts a long gaze at you before he speaks. "So the time has come then," he says. "I can finally get on with my plan." "Forgive me, child. I have been preparing for this moment a very long time, and it was the first thing that came into my mind. But I am grateful to you, even if your saving me was not entirely your own doing. The Lady of the Lake has shown me the chaos that would one day come, so I made plans to ensure it wasn't the end of Britannia. And now I'm free to execute those plans, in the hope of restoring balance to the world." The cataclysm was a machination of fate, and meddling with fate is always futile. Attempting it only makes things worse. I learned that long ago. Some things are just part of a grand design, and all we can do is accept them. But the rest is up to us, so we must act now. I've prepared a magical ritual in the Welsh mountains that will help to turn the tide against the Formorians, and buy me enough time to carry out the second part of my plan. You shall accompany me. Your youthful power will be rather helpful. The mention of the dragons in Wales casts a shadow over Merlin's face, and he demands an explanation. You tell him all about the return of the dragons, and this is obviously something he didn't expect to hear. He rushes to a magical apparatus and hastily casts a spell. When he turns back to you, his voice is urgent. "Morgana, listen to me. You must return to Arthur and give him a message. Tell him he cannot be cured as long as there is a single Nethergate open in Britannia. He's one with the land, so the land must be cured first." You must also stay by his side and assist him in the task. I shall go to Wales, Perhaps I can still salvage parts of my plan if I act fast enough. With that, Merlin disappears in a patch of light. You make your way back to your troops, thinking about the instructions he gave you, wondering what further twists of fate await you. There's only one thing you're certain of. The conclusion of this tale is drawing near.
I have fulfilled my promise, heir of Pendragon. Merlin is free at last. It didn't exactly turn out to be the way I planned, but in all honesty, I am surprised that he even bothered to give us a piece of advice before he vanished to wherever he wanted to go. Merlin wants you to know that your father's wound cannot be cured so long as there is a single Nethergate open in Britannia. He is one with the land, and the land must be cured before he can recover. You must close all of the gates. I did everything you asked of me, Sir William. And now imagine how it pains me to admit that now I am the one in need of help. The journey I took through the Fading Tower was a one-way path, and now my way to the south is obstructed by the Antonine Wall. This crumbling fortification has been home for centuries to eerie creatures that rule this abandoned land between the north and Cumbria. I need someone to extract this giant, rotten tooth so that I can return to the south.
Although the kingdom of Alba is protected by the holy power of the legendary White Shield of Joseph of Arimathea, the artifact cannot by itself protect the lands that the knights have seized from the Fomorians. They require warriors whom they can send out to patrol the new borders.
Although your alliance with Nimue theoretically granted you the support of the Picts, these savages have no intention of joining your ranks. They are, however, willing to sell you their wild, bloodthirsty wargs.
Yes, my liege. On my way. Yes, my lord. On my way. On my way. Yes, my liege. Yes, my liege. Ready to serve. On my way.
London is home to one of the few universities of Britannia, where they teach the art. London is the last safe haven in a vast wasteland. The Kingdom of ailment has a very effective army owing to their strict training methods. You could trust their veterans. There are adepts among the Sidhe, who mortals would call wizards. The Sidhe Council would like to examine the shards of the Grail. They hope that they might solve the mystery. The Sidhe Council has been the most secretive of all the keepers of arcane secrets. However, now they are... The Sidhe Council would like to examine the shards of the Grail. They hope that they might... Although magic has left Bedgrain Forest, the twisted woods of Penguin still hide abandoned settlements of the Sidhe. Irresistible lure to adventurous souls who would risk all to possess the treasures of their former keepers. Penguin has begun to form a proper army, one which relies heavily upon veterans of the fierce struggles that followed the Cataclysm. This suggests the idea that you might take advantage of the good relations between your two kingdoms and organize a joint military exercise for both armies. You could surely benefit from the skills of their famous archers. There are new quarries in the Hills of Poets that provide cheap stones as building materials. According to tradition, warriors in King Dafydd's army are judged by their skills alone, never by their birth. Such a tradition breeds tough veterans, and it would be wise to train.
Ready to serve. On my way. On my way. Ready to serve. Yes, my liege. Yes, my lord. Ready to serve. Ready to serve. On my way. On my way. Yes, my liege. On my way. Yes, my lord. On my way. Yes, my liege. On my way.
Ready to serve. Ready to serve.
On my way.
The shard of the shattered Holy Grail.
London is the final refuge in the south. No wonder that even this huge stronghold now King Cole has a very powerful army. He commands great strategists and experienced soldiers. This suggests the idea that you might take advantage of the good relations between your two kingdoms and organize a joint military exercise. There are adepts among the Sidhe, who mortals would call wizards. There are new quarries in the hills of Poet that provide cheap stones as building materials. If you began trade talks to negotiate a long-term agreement for building supplies, it could be very useful for your relationship with the province. The Sidhe Council has been the most secretive of all the keepers of arcane secrets. The master bowmakers of Sherwood fled to Penguin to escape Sir Maric's revolt. As a result, the archers of the army of Penguin have achieved a fearful reputation. If you could reach them.
On my way. 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 Yes, my liege.
Ready to serve.
All right.